Could you please call roll?
Goldwire,
Here.
Karen Peterson,
Here.
Daniel Baldridge, here, Todd Heston,
Here.
Matt Miller.
Here.
All right, looks like we have a quorum. If everyone could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will move on to approving tonight's agenda. Council, any questions about tonight's agenda? I know we do need an executive session for attorney-client privilege for 10 minutes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other changes, Council? Okay. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda as written with an executive session for 10 minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Todd, second by Karen. All in favor say aye. Carries 5-0. Move on to approving the consent agenda. Council, any questions about tonight's consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Second.
I have a motion by Matt, second by Karen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to the communications
Just a
section.
second.
Oh,
I did not catch the motions. Who made the motions?
Matt did and Karen
On
seconded.
the first one?
On the first one, it's Todd and then Karen.
Todd and Karen.
We're just racing through that.
I was really fast. Did you get that? Sorry, Ben. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to the communication section. Kechi civic groups or committees. Any other civic group or committees here to speak other than mine? All right, seeing none. We, on the fair committee, would like to invite all adults to our adult-only Kechi Fair Bingo night on July 26th up here at City Hall at 6 p.m. If you are a local business or somebody who'd like to donate a prize item, this is a free event, so please come, have some fun with us. We'll be calling out numbers and just having fun together. So, there will be a flyer on the Kechi Fair page. So, that's all for civic groups. Moving on to Kechi Good News. I know we have a presentation, so do we want to start with that first? Okay, Chief.
Excuse me while I get all of my documents in place. Officer Mounts, Carpenter, over please. Been a busy month, couple months anyway, and we've had some officers that have stepped up and done some exceptional work in our community and around the surrounding area. So I wanted to recognize these two officers for an incident that took place, and I'll read the blurb that I have typed out here on the incident. In the early hours of May 20th, 2025, during a severe thunderstorm, Valley Center Sergeant Kirk responded alone to a burglary alarm call at the Dollar General. Finding a door that was propped open, he called for backup, suspecting a break-in. With no nearby units available, Kechi officers Chase Carpenter and Zachary Mounts immediately offered their assistance. They responded to the scene. As Kirk cleared the building, a second call came in. Valley Center Fire needed assistance with down power line at Meridian and 7th. Officer Carpenter diverted to assist, while Officer Mounts continued to help Sergeant Kirk with the Dollar General call. Despite the dangerous weather and limited visibility, Officer Carpenter's presence at the scene likely prevented Fire Captain Nick Banning from driving into a downed power line and pole, which is covering the roadway. With Officer Mounts quickly joining the two, they fully secured the area, ensuring safety of both first responders and the public. Their actions absolutely prevented a tragedy that night with the circumstances that were taking place, the torrential rain, the blinding storm that was in that night, no doubt about it. The Captain of the Fire Department would have absolutely hit that pole had our officers not responded and been there to support Valley Center. Their quick action, interagency teamwork, and commitment to the safety, the highest standard of public service. We're proud to recognize these officers, Officer Carpenter and Officer Mounts, for their outstanding response to the community. So with that, I want to give them a certificate. He's going to help me. I'll give that one to your dad there. Letter of commendation to Officer Carpenter and Officer Mounts for their actions that night. I think it's, yeah, oh, I think so. I think it's very important at this time to point out that the interoperability of our agencies in this area, northern Wichita Metro, northern Sedgwick County, is absolutely vital to the safety and security of every citizen in this area. They may not live inside the city of Kechi city limits, but they are absolutely citizens of our community, and we will protect them as needed. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
What was your little helper's name?
Riley? That's my
Hi,
son.
Riley.
That's Dawson, my daughter.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you and your family's sacrifices. All right, any other Kechi good news other than the good news I have? You want to talk about your success at your garage sale? Gosh,
I'll just take a quick moment.
go ahead.
Well, we started off pretty rough with the rain and all of that stuff. So the kids were starting to get the wind taken out of their sails, so to speak. But then the rain broke and it ended up being a very big success. And I can tell you that both of our cars are gonna be packed to the brim with food for Wichita Animal Action League. And we get to go deliver that to them tomorrow. So thank you for everyone that participated. It's such a great cause, and thanks again.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I got it. So I want to give it, I know we just thanked police, so again, thank you very much for your response, but also thank you to Public Works for all of the hard work you guys did through the storm and after the storm. Being able to open the brush dump 2 extra days this month really did, I think, help the residents out to be able to clean up the city and make it look great again. So thank you for that. It really, really was appreciated. We know you guys went above and beyond what you could do. So also thank you to the Kechi Park Board for organizing Big Park Cleanup Day on the same day as the open brush dump. So that worked out really well, I think, for you guys. Your effort was appreciated. The park does look really great. So thank you. And that's, I mean, garage sales seemed to go really well, even with all the rain that we got poured on. But people were out in the community, and that was great to see. So that was my Kechi good news. Moving on to public comment. Debbie, do we have public comment?
Robert Jackson.
Okay. Well, got 5 minutes. I've got my time.
5 minutes. Got your timer on?
Oh, yeah.
Well, mayor, council, city administrator, attorney, and chief, and deputy clerk and clerk. Wanted to speak on the budget, and the last time I was sitting up there in 2013, our mill levy was 33 point something. And I know, I really appreciate the last 3 years you've kept the mill levy the same. But knowing city finances, even though the mill levy was the same, evaluations went up quite a bit. And I know that you received an adequate amount of money over what you had received the year before through the mill levy. And what I'm suggesting is that the city look at making at least a small reduction in the mill levy to at least help out the citizens, because I know in my case, my evaluation went up several $10,000. So, and the county has been doing this for the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, they've reduced their mill levy by over 1 mil. And they're looking at doing that again this year. And I know they operate with a much larger budget, but I know 1 year they took in $43 million more by cutting 1/3 of a mil. And 1 year they took in $25 million more this time cutting a third of the mill. And, I know the last decrease was in 2020, when it was dropped back to 35.07. And like I said, I really appreciate that fact that you have kept the mill levy steady for the last 3 years. And I was looking at what I found it much easier to find out about the county and their money and their mill levy. And I had a difficult time really trying to find out much about the mill levy here in Kechi. And I could see that the city, even though the mill levy stayed the same, took in substantially more money each year for the last couple of years. And again, I would think that you could look at reducing the mill levy by at least something for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment for the evening and move on to new business. Okay. I call agenda item 7B, a consideration of case Z-2025-03, a request to allow rezoning of property to C1 Arts and Business District on the property in the R1 Single Family Residential District zoning district. Before we proceed, would any member of City Council wish to abstain from voting on this agenda item due to conflict of interest, bias, or any other reason? Seeing none, let the record show that there are no abstentions and that a quorum of 5 council members is present. As a reminder, a valid protest accounts for petitions from owners of 20% or more of the property being rezoned, or 20% or more of the property within the official notification area. Has the city clerk determined a valid protest for this case? Council members should report the general nature of any verbal or written ex parte communication received prior to the meeting. However, it is not necessary to disclose the names of the party. Does any council member wish to report ex parte communication in this case? Let the record show that no ex parte communication has been reported. The Planning Commission held the public hearing for this case on 6/10/2025, as the council received a summary of the public hearing found in the unapproved meeting minutes.
Yes.
Does the council and everyone present on the case believe the public hearing was fair and impartial?
Yes.
I will now call the zoning administrator, Dustin Belton, to present the case report, background information, and the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Thank you. Z 2025-03, rezone to C1 Arts and Business District from R1. Site size, 4 lots totaling 1.5 acres. This is generally located south of Kechi Road, east of Oliver, at the very end of Foreman Street, as indicated down here, these 4 lots here. The property, I apologize. Planning Commission did vote to deny on a vote 4-0 on 6/12/2025. I'll get to that here in just a little bit. The property owner is requesting a zone change from R1 Single Family Residential District to C1 for 4 adjoining parcels generally located east of Oliver and south of Kechi Road on Foreman. The properties are a total of 1.5 acres, 3 of which are undeveloped. The owner has plans to adjust property lines and develop 3 of the properties with smaller houses/lots or barn dominiums. 1 lot, 205 South Foreman, will remain as a single-family residence with a work-from-home function. This rezoning will bring this particular property into compliance with the zoning regulations. R1 Single Family Residential District has a minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet. C1 Arts and Business District has a minimum lot size of 2,500 square feet. The owners also own two of the properties north at 125 South Foreman and the north adjacent lot, both of which are zoned as C1 Arts and Business District. The owners would like to stay consistent with their zoning. So they own 201, 205, this 225 and this other empty lot down here, along with these two lots up here. There have been no zoning actions on these properties. To the north is R1, single family residential. South is I1, undeveloped. East is R1 and I1, single family residential and undeveloped. West is C1, used as commercial. Foreman Avenue is a paved 2-lane collector road with open ditches. Conformance to plans and policies, the future development plan map depicts the subject properties as appropriate for arts and business. The Kechi 2040 comprehensive plan does state new single-family housing should be discouraged or avoided, but does not prohibit such developments. Chapter 6, housing of the Kechi 2040 comprehensive plan state, Kechi desires an increase of housing to support the projected increase in population and economic development. To support increased population, housing supply must increase. Kechi also desires the effective use of existing housing stock. The older housing, especially that within and surrounding the Arts and Business District, should be utilized to its potential. The Kechi zoning regulations state for C1 Arts and Business District, it is the intent of the district to preserve the integrity of existing neighborhoods while providing opportunities within Kechi's core area for a vibrant mix of housing, arts-based businesses, and compatible commercial land uses developed at a walkable scale and density. Recommendation, based upon information available prior to public hearings, planning staff recommends that the request be approved with the following conditions. 1, no new commercial businesses may be built on the properties. During the hearing on June 12th, confirmed by city attorney that conditions can be placed on a rezoning of property, which the no new commercial businesses can be a condition that we put on it. B, confirmed by city attorney that 2 parcels can be approved while the other 2 parcels can be denied. Meaning these these two northern properties can be approved, the bottom 2 can be denied. Or vice versa. Confirmed by city attorney that a deed restriction is unenforceable by the city. D, a suggestion was made at both of the meetings in June for R1A. We are unable to rezone to R1A due to regulatory restrictions within the zoning regulations. This recommendation is based on the following findings. 1, the properties to the north and east are zoned as R1 and developed with single-family homes. To the south and east, the property is zoned as I1 and undeveloped. West of the properties is C1 and used commercially. 2, the request of a rezoning is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan as discussed in the staff report. 3, staff do not anticipate a significant increase in public utilities or services. 4, the subject sites are currently zoned R1 single family residential district, which has a minimum lot size too big for the owner's plan. 5, 1 property was developed in 1900 and the others are vacant. Staff do not anticipate that approval of the request will have significant negative impacts on the surrounding properties. 7, the request of a zone change is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan as discussed in the staff report. 8, staff do not expect negative impacts on community facilities. 9, no input, positive or negative, has been received from the public at the time of the staff report. This here in red is what was expressed during the public hearing in June. Several neighborhood residents voiced their concerns at the public hearing on June 10th. Concerns include increased traffic due to businesses being there, should be rezoned to R1A, and increased traffic will hinder children playing in the street. Ditches are in poor condition. If approved, make a street exit to Oliver. Let's go down, it'll go down. Again, here's the aerial map. The base map that I showed you up above had a house on it. It has been removed. 205, as you can see, it crosses the lot lines right here. That would be the adjustment that I was talking about earlier. And it would make this lot 205 compliant within the zoning regulations. Zoning map shows R1 in this tan color. This purple is industrial. This light purple is C1 or Arts and Business District. Deep red over here is C3. This area here, pointing to the orange, right above the railroad tracks and 254, shows the area is good for arts and business. Site photos, subject property facing south, the empty lot, property looking west, north of the subject property, and east.
Does council have any questions for the zoning administrator?
Just-
Yes. Go ahead.
Dustin, could you talk about the restrictions and why the R1A does not work?
I can. I'll get there. All right. So here we have in the zoning regulations, section 6.5, R1A single family / 0 lot line residential district. Down here in the supplemental provisions, the following provisions shall apply to 0 lot line developments. 0 lot lines must be platted in groups containing at least 4 contiguous lots. We do have 4 contiguous lots, so it does meet that. Each group must be in a location meeting one or more of the following conditions. Around a cul-de-sac, we don't have a cul-de-sac down there. On a street with R1A zoning on the opposite street frontage. Again, we do not have on the opposite street frontage R1A over there. And C, on a street with multifamily or non-residential zoning on the opposite street frontage. We have single families, oops. I've used a computer before. On the opposite side, we have R1 and I1. It's not around a cul-de-sac, and it does not meet any of the requirements around here, the conditions.
Oh, I have lots of questions.
I
All right, so I think there was a lot of discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and tried to approach it in an organized way to ask the questions of the city as well as our engineering. So Matt, Ginsby, Dustin, or Thomas, if you have any comments for the property owners that would clarify, I would appreciate it. But Matt was very gracious and submitted a lot, replied with a lot of answers, just by working with PEC and the staff here at the city. So one of the questions was about conditions of the roads, drainage, ditches, what is the condition of those roads? This area has all gravity flow for runoff, so for drainage, it's not a problem. The roads are standard residential streets without curb and gutter. The increase in residential traffic to improved areas would not be significant. Road improvements would be assessed to any development. In other words, any changes to the road for improvement would go to the developed property owners. So it would not impact the other property owners. Will additional homes have any problems with drainage? Engineers and plating would assure proper runoff, so there would not be any negative effect to other properties. Does the current sewer system and water system support the addition of houses in the area? Yes, there are no issues in this area. Thomas, you can probably back me up on that one. Yeah, so no issues with the current sewer system and water system to support additional houses in that area. No problems there. I was not saying anything. So according to
So
DEC?
the sewer could potentially be a problem.
Okay.
Currently doesn't run over to the four lots the way they currently stand. There is a water line and a gas line that runs through there. The sewer line cannot run parallel. Has to be 10-foot separation between the water line and the sewer line. It does run north and south behind the house that's already there. So there will be some challenges to get the sewer over there to connect all 4 of those lots to that sewer.
Okay.
So,
And, changes to the sewer system to address that with the cost?
It could sustain those extra buildings.
It could
No problem.
sustain.
Yeah,
And the cost for doing that would go as an assessment to the property, correct?
correct.
Okay. Are there more houses on that one way in and out than any other similar street that would be, then there would be more houses on that street? So in other words, is there gonna be an issue with traffic? And so what the county fire code says, if you have more than 30 residential units served by a dead-end street, that's 30, you require to have a second access or turnaround to meet code. This would be a cul-de-sac or a hammerhead style turnaround. 30 is a lot. I think I counted, 6 or 8 houses on that street, Foreman, right now? Maybe? Not many. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
7.
Yeah.
Okay, will these houses be rented or sold? And this is probably something for the property owner. But what Matt provided to me was could be either or, like the developer says, we need to get to step A before we can get to step B. In other words, they're not gonna invest money in engineering design and concepts before zoning is approved. So if zoning is approved, they would move forward. If it's not feasible to build and sell, then they would look at a rental community and not even develop in this area. So they would prefer to build and sell, so that would make it single family units. If the market doesn't support it, they would build and rent. If they would rent, it would be a maintenance-free community with regulations to maintain appearance. Their initial thoughts are to have 4 homes and no more than 6 that the plat would support, and they would be cottage-style homes. What type of business would be, I heard that there was going to be a business in that area, one of the homes. So there was a question about what kind of business. It is a work-from-home situation. It is not a business in which there would attract any kind of traffic, any more than normal residential homes would generate. So there's no additional issues with a lot of traffic. What types of businesses are allowed? I think there was a question about, is it not an arts related? C1 zoning allows for live and work offices and studios, businesses, corporate offices, governments, institutional offices, medical offices, accounting, finance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't really, a bookkeeper would certainly fall within that type of zoning. How about adding any conditions to the property? Because there was concern about a business. In this case, I don't think this applies at all. It's a one person looking out of their home. I also think there is some misinformation or misunderstanding about arts and business district. It doesn't restrict it to just arts type businesses. Although they are encouraged, it is not restricted to just an art type business, but it is an arts and business district. So those were my questions, and thank you to the city for taking the time to respond in a very timely manner.
Thank you for reading this all out so that they can hear them. I appreciate it, I do. I was on the email, but I greatly appreciate it, so. Other council members' questions?
I did have one question for Matt. I don't know if it was clarified or not. Is there easement that would allow access to all of them?
Yeah, Dustin, can you pull that up? I don't know if your map shows if there's easement through there. We had talked about that. I believe there is Thomas, you may be able to add to this, some easement that would allow that road to be connected to Oliver through there.
There's a utility easement there, it's not necessarily a road easement,
Yeah.
there's a utility easement there.
We'd have to do a little more
Okay.
research on that to see.
Just curious.
But I guess to answer your question, yes, it could be under the right conditions, whether we purchase land or find a way to do it through easement or however we do it, yes.
Other questions, council? Alright, seeing none, thank you, Dustin. Moving on, does the applicant wish to present any new information for the council's consideration?
Unless you have any questions.
Yeah, I was just gonna show you kind of
If you wanna come up and
Yeah,
do that, and then I'll ask my second question on my script. Does the council have any questions for the applicant?
this is the idea.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
And there would be 2 car garages, not one. But- Oh.
You gave me, no, I didn't, that's two of them. My question for the applicant would be, do they have a timeline of their business plan?
No. No, we were mainly concerned about the 2 existing lots that have the road, because we were wanting to develop that one vacant lot, and we were advised to get that, because of the size, C1 to go ahead and take all that, since we owned it all, and get it rezoned all at once. But that vacant land, no, we don't have no immediate plans.
Thank you.
Other questions, council?
Why, sure.
Go ahead.
I have a question for the developers. It looks like, based on what you're showing here, there are some houses with stairs and houses without stairs. Are you aiming your property towards maybe some senior living?
No, we hadn't thought of senior living at all, no.
Supposed to be 0 entry, no basements.
The slab on grade was what we thought would be the houses, no basements, but as far as, for directed towards senior living, at this point, no,
Okay,
we hadn't, pointed that way. So.
okay. Just something I thought about when I was,
Okay.
doing some research, so, thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much. Oh, go ahead. No, you're good.
The notes on here, is that the square footage, the 1192?
Yeah, that little,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what. Pretty close.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Does anyone in the audience, and I know we have a couple signed up, does anyone in the audience wish to respond to the applicant or provide any new information that was not made available during the official public hearing? And we'll do 3 minutes on this. I do have it pulled up. Go ahead, Debbie.
Kathleen Baker?
Kathleen?
Okay. My name is Catherine Baker. I live at 135 Foreman Avenue. I live next to the empty lot that, to the north. And I'd like to see these properties stay as residential. We live in a small, quiet neighborhood by choice, and I believe it is one of the oldest neighborhoods in the city. It's disturbing to have a developer come in and want to change what we enjoy, especially when the developer won't disclose their plans. Now, I wrote this before it's talked about what now they're wanting to do or say they're wanting to do. For those that are voting, please put yourself in our place, someone wanting to come into your neighborhood, but not wanting to live in that neighborhood to be a part of that change. Development in the city is good, but it doesn't have to be infiltrated into neighborhoods. It could stay on the main thoroughfares. Maybe some of you have experienced the extra traffic because of Oliver and 61st Street construction. imagine what our small neighborhood would have to deal with, especially when the developer will not even disclose the plans for some of the properties. Because we've asked, and the answers I got was, we're not sure, we're not sure. And they just want the change, and then, what then? Do what you want to? I don't understand that. And, right now, I live in the big white house that has the empty lot. And the house that was next to me has been turned into an Airbnb, and that is owned by Kendra. And, I really don't like the idea of another Airbnb possibly, or bed and breakfast or something like that on the other side of me. And so that's just how I feel about it. And I know Kendra did not recuse herself from voting, but I think it's a conflict of interest for someone that has a business there to be voting on this, because this does concern businesses eventually. And I've been there for 52 years, raised my kids there, and it was a nice, quiet neighborhood. And I know you're always gonna have more traffic with deliveries and such, but to have businesses into a small neighborhood like what we have, and I know it's one of the older areas, we like it quiet. That's why we're there. And just how I feel about it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Chris Bowman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Since you're limiting me to 3 minutes, I know I'm not gonna get through this, so I'm gonna start by asking, formally requesting that I be provided the section of the zoning regulations you made your legal decision on, that you can place conditions on by right allowed uses in the zoning district to eliminate them.
My legal opinion is based on the state law
This should
and the
not come
common
against
law.
my time, please.
I'll pause it.
Thank you. But, I'm sorry.
I said my legal opinion is based on the state law and the interpretation of the common law and our zoning regulations.
Could I be provided on, I guess, I entirely see this a different way, and I had a lot of training and experience, especially in the Kechi zoning, and I was always taught you could not do this. The experienced members on the planning commission also agreed that you cannot do that. But we have attorneys and judges for a reason, right? There's many ways to interpret laws and regulations. I do think there's a better solution to this request, and it's the protective overlay district. And by its definition, it states it is intended to offer flexibility in tailoring land uses, site design, aesthetic controls, and other zoning districts may not provide adequate means to regulate mixed-use developments, properties with atypical characteristics, maximize compatibility with adjacent land uses, or preserve the character and integrity of unified developments in special areas, unquote. By comparison, the 2,500 square foot lot, the tiny home, as many people refer to it as the southwest corner of 64 or Kechi Road, and its lot is 50 by 135. That's 6,750 square feet, more than double the minimum allowed in the C1. And from the comments I got from the applicant at the public hearing, they don't intend to go as small as they could, but they are concerned with other lot sizes and other residential zones. Like I said, there are definitions in the zoning regulations for by right uses and conditional uses. I disagree completely that they allow you to do that. By my count, there are 39 by right commercial uses in the C1 district, and then there are an additional 30 conditional commercial uses. Those conditional uses are the ones the zoning regulations states you can put conditions on. The by right uses should be allowed if that zoning district is adopted. That's what I was trained on, that's what I was taught, that's what my almost 2 decades of experience leads me to understand for that. The only other comment I guess I would have is on the other zoning case, so if you'd like me to wait, that would take me less than 1 minute to do.
I wait because we'll ask for it and you only have 7 seconds.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. Good.
Steve Gibbons.
Steve. Steve Gibbons.
Just let you know. Or asking if you have any comment.
No. You got my time to Chris.
I'm done.
Okay.
On that.
Okay, so, any others?
Joni Harris.
Jen? Yeah.
Joni Harris, 109 West Chippewa Street. The main issue presented by the applicant is a desire to build a home for a veteran on the 201 Foreman property. I'm the one that brought forward R1A. And that's the main, I stand by that. And if you look at the packet I gave you, I put in the R1A information. And at the top of the line, it says, flexible opportunities for small lot and 0 lot line single family. That word "and" describes 2 different scenarios for R1A. Dustin concluded that the properties are unable to be rezoned to R1A due to item G in the zoning district. However, the supplemental provision terms are only for a 0 lot line development. And I did ask if these were patio homes. They're not, so this is not a 0 lot line situation for this rezone. Therefore, R1A does qualify as an appropriate zoning that could be put to adjust the lot line. 201 Foreman is 10,893 square feet, so adjusting that property line, there's no problem. They're not going to hit that minimum of 5,000 square feet with the adjustment of the property line. So, and the rest of them, they could all be under R1A. It's absolutely, I disagree completely what has been presented to you. That I don't believe that's correct information. This is not a 0 lot line development. It's a small lot development. I do have one other point of concern that I've included. The applicant representative chose to post on social media a public platform comments regarding this case. You've been provided the location of the post, the comments, and a conversation between Ms. McKay and myself. These comments were made on Monday prior to this council vote. Behavior and comments of this nature are an example of why neighbors have concern about the true nature of plans of a developer coming to their neighborhood and desiring to change zoning. Even when publicly stating that they just want to build houses. We all have freedom of speech, but we also have a responsibility for the words that we speak. I've included the web address of the post for verification by the governing body. The planning commission that the mayor appointed and all of you approved recommended denial unanimously, that this was not the correct zoning for this case. And in closing, I ask that Councilmember Baldridge recuse herself from this vote, as your property is adjoining to their additional property to the north, and it's not appropriate for you to be voting. So thank you.
Any others, Deb? All right. So now we will go through, I will close public hearing for this case.
Joni, what's the area that you would think would be acceptable for somebody not to be able to vote on this?
Well, her
Because I
property,
have a business in Kechi too, should I recuse myself?
this is literally like next to her. Like it's
Yeah.
next to her business.
No, it's not.
But I'll just stop. The-
Sorry.
having owning property even within the notification area of the zoning change is not a legal rationale for recusing oneself from a vote, so we don't have to belabor that any further.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right. I have closed public hearing, and we will go through the conditions for council to agree, disagree on the recommendations. All right. The zoning use and character of the neighborhood. Agree, disagree, comments.
Can we do these individually?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So item 1, the zoning use and character of the neighborhood. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. To acknowledge Joni's comments on the R1A being for those regulations that we looked at that I asked about earlier, do we agree agree with that? Is 4-0 lot line only? And would the applicant be open to R1A?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in great detail because I wasn't presented with the questions in advance, but it does appear to say zero lot line is something different from a small lot. So I think that might be,
I was under the understanding that if there was not R1A in the area, and that was one of the sentences up there, that was one way you cannot get R1A in that area.
I was too.
R1A would probably not be a problem. Those lots would be, are gonna be bigger than 5,000 square foot.
Right.
But we didn't have an option, it was either 9,000 or jump all the way down to 25, because
Yeah, I agree.
that
C-
void
C1
in
was
the
the only
zoning.
option with what was
that's
presented.
an option.
Todd, if you want us to check in that, we could recess for about 10 minutes and do a little bit of research and come back to you.
If you want official opinion.
I'm comfortable with that, and council.
Yeah.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to recess for, do you want 10 minutes or do you want 15?
10's fine.
10? Okay. For 10 minutes, so that'd be 7:56. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recess for 10 minutes, 7:56.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion by Matt, second by Kendra. All in favor say aye. Aye. Carries 5-0. We are recessed.
I mean, we would like to have in the existing house at 205, the work at home type business on the existing home that I don't know falls into R1A.
If it meets the, and I don't have in front of me, I don't know if Dustin came back. The home occupations are permitted if they meet the requirements of the home occupation section.
Should we check?
I just don't have those.
Can we check it really quick? Okay, here you go.
You want me to pull it up on the computer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't imagine a bookkeeping business.
The type is, there's just some other things that's informational if you want to point it out. The professional in trade is allowed.
Home occupations. Shall be restricted as follows, and it's all of these right here. Shall be incidental and subordinate to the primary use. Shall not occupy more than 25% of the floor area of any single floor story of the principal structure. Shall store all materials and equipment used for the home occupation within enclosed structure. Shall not be allowed any exterior alterations that are inconsistent with the residential nature or character of the principal structure. Shall only be allowed signs as allowed by and in accordance with Article 8, which is the signs section. Only residents of the principal residence may be engaged in the home occupation activities. Shall not generate vehicular traffic. Shall not generate parking demand that is unreasonable. And shall utilize no equipment that creates a nuisance of noise, odor, emissions, or electrical interference.
This sounds like that would meet your,
Lemon 3C looks like that's the definition.
Professional and technical services, right?
Any other questions before we go through them? Obviously, you can have questions and stuff throughout.
With that confirmation, you guys good with that?
So we would be going from C1 back to R1A, which is basically minimum 5,000 square foot lots. Yeah, now that skinny lot, that lot that's here,
The one with the existing property?
Instead it's tore down.
yeah, so, you know, to make this work, you know, this house that we own too is on this lot. So to make it right, we'll have to do some replotting of this lot. And then when we would replot the lot and then do the side yard setbacks required from R1A, this lot would never even be considered in R1. It would be too small.
mm-hmm,
So it'd have to go R1A or C1. So it's not, it may be 9,000 now, but once you narrow it down, it gets to about 7,700.
It's 10,893 square feet right now.
Right, but when you take out
Mhm.
10 foot here, and then a 10-foot side yard for this property, that's 20 foot here to here. That would make this 52.5 times your 150, which is, I don't have a calculator, but it's
So
7,800 square foot, which doesn't meet the R1 anyway. Just a statement, it doesn't have anything to do with the R1A.
right.
We've got someone that's been working with a veteran to do a zero entry, like a barn dominium for him.
Like one,
So, the reason
Yeah,
why
so
this
you'd
has
be
been
right in there.
dragging, well, it'll be, it's about 350,000 square, or $350,000.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's just guessing, that's 10 foot over, because we don't even
Yeah,
have
we don't
any
know.
property pins or anything.
So, he's worked the architect and he's got the VA on board and his loan. So that's, I'm not trying to be pushy, but he's like, okay, can I build it or not? That was the whole thing. Can we build him a house there or not?
But, yeah.
so I'm gonna go through the recommendations and, so, zoning use character of the neighborhood, agree, disagree, comments, changes. I'm not gonna take silence. If you have questions, go ahead, or comments, go ahead. Yeah, if you agree,
Yeah.
just agree.
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 Conformance of the requested change to the adopted or recognized comprehensive plan and policies. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
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 Adequacy of public utility, roadways, and other public services relative to the anticipated impacts of the proposed use.
Agree. Agree.
Agree.
Agree.
The suitability of the subject property for the use to which it has been restricted.
Agree.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
One property, or sorry, length of time property has remained vacant as zoned.
Agree.
Agree.
Extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect nearby property.
Agree.
Agree.
Conformance of the requested change to adopted or recognized comprehensive plan and policies.
Agree.
Agree.
Impact of proposed development on community facilities
Agree.
and public input.
Agree. Agree.
Assuming all necessary information has been received, council has three options. Adopt the planning commission's recommendation of, and I believe it's supposed to say denial.
Correct.
Denial. Override the planning commission's recommendation of a denial with a 2/3 majority vote of the governing body membership, which is 4 votes. Return the case to the planning commission for further consideration, along with a statement reporting the basis of our failure to approve or deny. Does the council have any further questions or discussion?
So my question is, how do we state this now that we're looking at the 1A option? Or when would be,
Okay, so, you, obviously, if you go with the recommendation of just complete denial, you can vote on that. The draft form ordinance that is in the packet is for C1 with a condition that's an override of the planning commission's recommendation. If you desire to instead zone it as R1A, that is also an override, and what I'd recommend is just make a motion to pass the ordinance with an amendment that it's R1A instead of the C1 with the condition, and we can do it that way. That's also an override. Or you can send it back to the planning commission to consider R1A. Those are your options. Or consider anything you want, I suppose, but.
I make a motion we approve by overriding the planning commission's recommendation of denial, with the amendment of changing it to R1A.
With no conditions?
With the conditions,
Because the ordinance has a condition in it now, which you wouldn't
With the
necessarily need.
conditions
You wouldn't
recommended.
need that with R1A.
we would not need that with 1A.
Right.
So then as stated, I
Okay.
guess, right? Did I say that correctly? Approved by
ordinance-
overriding planning commission's recommendation of denial with the amendment of changing the C1 to 1RA.
R1A, and removal of the condition.
And removing the conditions.
Yes, that would be right.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Matt, second by Paul. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. So is it the same ordinance number then?
Same ordinance number,
Okay.
yeah.
If approved, case number Z-2025-03 is approved. The approval will become effective on the ordinance date, effective on the date ordinance number 1851-25 is published in the Ark Valley News. So, do we need to do the annexation, right? 7B, or did we just do that? Did I just do something wrong?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
So,
Ready for discussion?
okay. I call agenda item 7C, a consideration of case number Z-2025-04, a request to allow property annexed by the city of Kechi to be rezoned as R2.
Wait.
Oh,
We have
sorry.
to do
See, that's
7B.
fast. Because on the last one it was said 7B, didn't it?
And we completed
Should be
7A.
the
we're
annex.
to 7B.
Annexation.
Don't listen to me in here. Okay. I call item 7B, annexation ordinance number 1852-25. Okay. I don't have any papers on that. Do I have papers on that?
I'm sorry,
Do I have papers on that? I don't have any.
you don't have an agenda on the morning?
I have an agenda, I called her, you know, called to do it.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't paying attention. Mayor and council, this agenda item is for ANI Properties, who desires to annex 76.633 acres of property into the city limits of Kechi. The property is anticipated to be used as residential development. If annexation is approved, the property would go on the city tax rolls, and property taxes would be collected according to valuation. If developed, the city utility service would also be requested.
Council, any questions?
Trying to decide if this is the time to ask all my questions or not.
Yes.
We can answer any questions that you have, yes.
Well, I've actually answered all these questions by email, and I can, address them now.
Sure.
I think there were concerns about sewer availability, capacity for, sewer availability and capacity and water availability for that area. Let's see. So PEC replied that there are improvements that do need to be made for any expansion of the water in this area into the east. Annexing and starting development are not at risk. We do not need to plan for expansion and have additional homes coming online will help pay for those expansions. So I think what PEC is saying is at this time, we don't need to add anything, but future development after this 80 acres, is it 80 acres? 76 acres, we would need to consider some additional work to our water system, correct? Our water supply.
That's correct. We have ample water supply up there. We know that there are improvements that need to be made to our system up there. We've known that for a long time. Specifically adding an additional water tower at some point, and more imperative is looping the system in that area to provide more redundancies in that system. So we know that is on the horizon. It's something we're already planning for, something we're working with PEC with, but nothing that would prohibit us or inhibit us from building more homes up there on this piece of property. As far as our sewer system, we do have capacity for additional homes. Anything that would be built out on this property, we could handle. We do know as a city that we need to make improvements to our sewer system as well. It's not so much on the city side that we can't handle it, it's how much we can discharge to Wichita. So in simple terms, our pipe is this big, Wichita's is this big, okay? We can handle it, we just can't discharge it to Wichita. So we are in the planning stages of that, trying to find a solution for our sewer capacities, whether that's build a new sewer plant, whether it's enter into an agreement with other jurisdictions to discharge to their sewer systems. We don't know what the final solution, the best solution, the most economical solution would be at this point, but having those plans in place and knowing what our capacities are now, with this addition, we would still be okay. We also have some gas supply issues too. We know that we are limited in that area. There have been, last year, there were some pressure issues in that area. We purchased some new regulators, cranked up the pressure, which provided more supply to that area out there. With our real cold spell this year, we didn't have any pressure issues. There was a little bit of drop, but nothing as dramatic as the year before. So Thomas has really put a Band-Aid on that situation with installing those new regulators, increasing the pressure. But we do know that the problem that we need to fix is enlarging our line that goes underneath the creek and the railroad tracks to get to that addition. It just simply is not big enough for growth. No matter if this property would be annexed and would develop, or additional property would develop, we know that in all three cases, water, sewer, and gas, we have to do something, and we are planning for those enhancements as well.
I believe when we did our planning, earlier this year, we also noted that. So it's
Correct.
not only on the mind of the city, but it's on the mind of the city council.
Yep.
I think there were questions about safety and with regards to roads and traffic in the area, specifically the 254 corridor. Okay, so the 254 corridor is a state issue, and regardless of Kechi annexing the land or not, the developer has indicated they will proceed with county zoning. So in other words, they're gonna build whether we annex the land or not. So traffic will be there regardless. Matt indicates he sits on the K254 corridor planning and safety committees. Has not heard any capacity issues with traffic at this location. Additionally, the two K254 improvements are already in the works, with the interchanges of both Rock and Webb being on fast track in the overall improvement plan to projected growth in the area. So since there's already growth in the area, they already have that at the top of their list, that those roads need to be addressed.
Yeah,
And I
Rock Road
believe-
and Webb Road specifically have been pulled from the overall plan and essentially put on a fast track to improve those intersections, not just because of development in Kechi, but development in the area. And it's not a capacity issue, it would be more of a safety issue to increase safety in those areas. Now, Rock Road and Webb Road, the plan for those is to, at this point, it could change, is to build overpasses at both of those locations to increase the safety, but it's not a capacity issue.
Right.
Those intersections are built out, they can handle about whatever we can throw at them. We can throw at them, Bel Air can throw at them, they can handle the traffic.
Concerns about water supply, we already addressed. Currently, this land is basically, from what I understand, is fallow. There's nothing on it. There's no true ag business on it that I know of. It's not used as a pasture land. Does anybody have any comment about that?
They mow it for hay.
They mow it for hay. My yard would grow, I'd mow it for hay too.
Yeah, there you go.
Anybody knows that walks by my house know what I'm saying.
But occasionally they spray it also.
All right, I think there was also some conversation about having park and green space, but I think that would come at the point of in which, plating and, further down the line. But I would highly recommend at that point that we would require park and green space to be maintained by the property owner. That walkability should be examined so that, it's a nice neighborhood for families and, people for getting out and walking, enjoying the neighborhood.
Any other questions or comments about the annexation? I'm seeing none. I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the annexation ordinance 1852-25 for A&I Properties LLC and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second?
I have a motion by Todd, second by Matt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Now we'll read my stuff.
Wait,
We have to do the
there's a resolution.
notice of intent to select an electric provider.
This is just a resolution required by state law that every time you annex
new property into the city, you have to tell the current electric provider that you've done so and hold a public hearing to determine who should be the electric provider and if there's any reason to change, which there usually isn't. But it is a required statutory process. So this resolution just sets a hearing for August 14th to hear any input from people, I guess, on who should be the electric provider out there. Right now, it's Evergy. I would assume it would likely remain the same, but we'll go through the hoops for the state law.
Sure. So, I have any questions on that? I would entertain a motion.
Your recommendation is at the bottom of your agenda item, and I can read that if you'd like to, unless you guys don't, do you have it?
I got it.
Okay.
I move that we adopt resolution 25-785, providing notice of land annex to electricity service provider as required by KSA 66-1-176.
Do I have a second?
Second?
And motion by Karen, second by Kendra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Alright, now I'm gonna read my thing, I swear. Okay. I call agenda item 7E, a consideration of case number Z-2024-04, a request to allow property annexed by the city of Kechi to be zoned as the R1 multifamily residential district zoning district. Before I proceed, would any member of the city council wish to abstain from voting on this agenda item due to conflict of interest, bias, or any other reason?
No.
No.
Let the record show that there are no abstentions and the quorum of 5 council members is present. As a reminder, a valid protest accounts for petitions from owners of 20% or more of the property being rezoned, or 20% or more of the property within the official notification area. Has the city clerk determined a valid protest for this case?
No.
The Planning Commission held the public hearing for this case on 6/10/2025, as the council received a summary of the public hearing found in the unapproved meeting minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
Does the council and everyone present on the case believe the public hearing was fair and impartial?
Yeah.
Yes.
I now call on zoning administrator Dustin Felton to present the case report, background information, and the planning commission's recommendation. Dustin.
There's so many wrenches going on here.
If I heard you correctly, Madam Mayor, you called out for it to be zoned as R1, is that correct?
That's R2.
R2, okay.
No, R2. I said R1 and then R2. I apologize.
Fair
It's on the
enough.
sheet.
No, that was gonna change.
R2, it's been a long day.
My math wasn't mathing. All right, case number Z 2025-04, A&I Properties. Request property annexed by the city of Kechi to be zoned as R2 multifamily residential district. Current zoning is agricultural in the county. Size is 76 acres, generally located at the southwest corner of 69th Street North and 79th Street East, or Rock Road. The applicant is requesting property being annexed by owner's request be brought into the city as R2 multifamily residential district. The property is generally located on the southwest corner, 76 acres, undeveloped and unplatted. The applicant is planning to build in phases with duplexes on the southern part of the property and eventually having single-family homes on the northern. There is no case history for this property. The property is unplatted and has never been developed. I apologize. Planning Commission did vote on this on June 10th, 5-0 to deny. Case history, there is no case history. To the north is county. It's farming, ranch operations with improvements. South is R2 and A1, multifamily residential and single-family residential district. The R2 is down here. This little guy right here is the A1. East is F and west is F, both county, farming, ranch operations without and with improvements. 69th Street North and 79th Street East are arterial dirt roads with open ditches. The requested zone change is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan. The future development plan map from the plan depicts the subject property as appropriate for housing use. Page 28 of the plan states To support increased population, housing supply must increase. Page 29 of the plan states, the mix of housing provides options for residents and potential residents to live in Kechi. Different people and people at different stages of their life desire different housing options. Different sizes, owner/rental options, cost, and type provide insight into the housing mix. Based upon information available prior to public hearings, planning staff recommends that the request be approved. Again, planning commission recommends denial. The recommendation is based on the following findings. 1, the property to the north, east, and west are unincorporated and zoned as F through Sedgwick County. They are developed with single-family residence and for agricultural use. Property to the south is zoned agricultural and multifamily use. 2, the request of a rezoning is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan. 3, rural water Sedgwick County 2, it's rural district 1, and Evergy serve the property. All public services can be provided to the property. Staff do not see a significant increase in public utilities or services. 4, staff do not see any issues with the subject property being zoned as R2 multifamily and used in the way proposed. 5, the property has been vacant since at least 2005. 6, staff does not anticipate that approval of the request will have significant negative impacts on surrounding properties. 7, the request of a zone change is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan. 8, staff do not expect negative impacts on community facilities. 9, no input, positive or negative, has been received from the public. During the public hearing on June 10th, one Kechi resident spoke at the public hearing stating residents have expressed no more multifamily housing. The resident also asked how many duplexes/houses and can fire protection be provided by Rural Water District 1. 2 county residents spoke stating that there would be too much density. K254 in Rock would become even more dangerous. Township road maintenance won't be able to keep up with the extra traffic. There were concerns about the high lines and disposable ponds. Rural Water District 1 is low on meters, and cow and calf operations will be disturbed as stated in Kansas Statute 2-3201, the Right to Farm Act. Down here, after that meeting, I did look it up. Kansas Statute 2-3201 establishes the state's policy to protect and encourage farmland agricultural activities, specifically addressing how these activities are impacted by the encroachment of non-agricultural uses. The law aims to shield agricultural activities from nuisance lawsuits that can arise as a result of this encroachment and to prevent the premature removal of farmland from agricultural use. Attachments. We have an aerial attachment showing the property here. To the south is the north end of Rock Point. We have zoning. White is all county. We have agricultural and R2 down here with some industrial over here. The area is good for housing and rural area. Site photos, subject property looking west, east, north, and south, where you can see just the back ends of the houses in Rockland.
Does the council have any questions for the zoning administrator? I know you already went through a lot of your questions, Karen. Anything further you want to say?
Yeah, can you go back to the Kansas farmland protection? The Kansas statute 2-3201 about protection of farmland. Our attorney, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, that statute, that set of statutes is intended to, and Dustin has written it in here, what they call, sort of shield farmland from nuisance lawsuits, meaning neighboring properties don't like the smells coming off of farmland or whatever other activity on there. You know, in the absence of that statute, someone could file a nuisance lawsuit that they are, there's a nuisance going on. And so this statute is intended to protect agricultural land from those types of lawsuits. It doesn't have anything to do with annexation or zoning or changing of the use from agricultural to residential at the, at the desires of the owner. It is intended to protect the other farmland from that developed land coming in and then, trying to file nuisance lawsuits against them.
Any other questions, council? For Dustin? Alright, seeing none, thank you, Dustin. Does the applicant wish to present any new information for the council's consideration?
No.
Does the council have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I do have a couple of questions. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Kirk Miller, Peyton Miller Engineering, I'm the agent for the applicant.
Okay. Is there, any, the reason I ask this is in our planning, for 2026, we talked a lot about, the seniors, we need more housing for seniors, we need more, amenities for seniors. Is there any, thought process into applying that into this type of neighborhood?
We have not discussed finding any senior housing in that.
Take that into consideration.
Okay.
Just a thought, on my part.
Regular.
I don't think I have any other questions.
Does any other council member have questions?
I know Karen, you stated earlier that the applicant said they would go to the county if they were able to.
For the
Oh.
annexation.
Okay.
They're annexed, they have
Okay.
to come to us.
Yeah. So, okay, sorry. You're good.
And your intention is for duplexes, and then maybe in the northern part of it would be single-family
Right,
residences?
would probably start out the south end adjacent to duplexes there with some more duplexes. And depending on the market and everything else, maybe sprinkle in some single family right now. And it'll just kind of work its way up as to what the market is, but you look at how many duplexes are being built, I can't imagine duplexes continuing on very far.
I guess my one concern with R2, I understand why the application for R2, because that is what is allowed for duplexes. The concern I have is R2 also allows for apartments, boarding houses, group homes, townhomes, and triplex or quadplex automatically. If we were to take the approach that we did in R1 with a conditional use for duplexes, which is listed, would you be open to that?
All we want to do is duplexes and single family.
Okay.
We're not interested in the other.
Because, as I stated, I'm kind of once we approve R2, you have the right to build apartment buildings, which I
Correct.
personally
And
would not
that's-
like to see.
And that's not our intent either.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions, council? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you. Alright. Does the audience wish to respond to the applicant or provide any new information that was not made available during the official public hearing? I know, Chris, you said you had comments. Did you still have comments for this zoning?
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Thank you again, Mayor, Council. On this case, when the motion was made and seconded to recommend denial of this case, the planning commission chairman informed the other members that they needed to state in the recommendation why they were making this recommendation to the council. They did not. They went right to a vote. No reason or finding the facts was stated in recommending this denial to the council. Zoning regulations 14.4.C.3, page 118, if you want it, which is under the heading of official actions and decisions, states, and I quote, "The planning commission shall submit recommendations to the council, which shall include," the first thing that lists is findings of fact upon which this recommendation is based. Zoning regulation 2.1 on page 3, we're just starting the regulations, says the word shall means mandatory. So I really don't have a problem with the R2 zoning, I concerned with that, or a portion of the property being zoned R2. I'm concerned with the zoning and planning commission not following their own regulations. And I think it's pretty clear here that they failed. I would challenge anybody to show me on the recording of that meeting where the planning commission stated the reason for recommending denial. So I would, you know, it might seem like a minor thing to this council or some other people that they didn't do that, and you're gonna take your own action regardless of why they recommended denial. But I think it's pretty black and white. They failed to meet the requirements of their own regulations. I hope the council takes my comments into serious consideration and strives for transparency. And I think I'm very disappointed that in the council packet posted online, updated yesterday, that the summary that was provided to this council of those meetings is not in the council packet online. And it's really disappointing when you look back in the last planning commission meetings you can find online is for January, 5 months ago. So, again, I thank you for your time. I would recommend that it would be my desire that the council send us back to the planning commission and tell them that they need to follow their own regulations. And I don't know what impact that has on, you know, my understanding of the regulations. It's zoned R1 until it's zoned something else. So maybe that's put off, but like I said, there's other members that were present at that meeting, including a member of the planning commission, if they would wish to comment on whether they told this council the reasons of recommending that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Gibbons.
Okay, Steve?
Oh, that was more on the other one.
Okay. Okay. Any others? We do have more. Okay, Jenny?
Jen here, 109 West Chippewa Street. Council, I hope each one of you has had a chance to drive by this property and look at where this property is sitting. I'm going to quickly jump through to the packet that you have because this is what's really concerning me, because I feel like the potential of rezoning this property and you've annexed it in is jumping ahead of the city infrastructure plans. On July 13th, 2023, PEC presented the Kechi City Council with water and sewer master plans for the city of Kechi. No discussion has occurred by the city administration nor the city council regarding the plans to implement phases, what's next, or even what measure of implementation the city is considering regarding these plans and the future growth of the city of Kechi. You have before you the 2-page conclusion for the water master plan, which contains important overview information for the future growth plans for Kechi. The next page is figure 2, the development map. The proposed housing development will be located within section E, which was originally designated by PEC as a commercial growth area in conjunction with the city of Kechi. The next figure is figure 11, proposed pipe looping improvement. From the PEC water master plan, you see that there is a proposed pipe looping on the eastern and northern borders of this property, as well as a proposed 2 million gallon water tower, which is referenced in the two-page conclusion I provided for you. The next 2 pages are regarding Kechi's current sewer system. The following 2 pages are 2 options for west side improvement to the system. Again, you see E and future work to be done along the northern border should the sewer master plan be implemented. How does this rezone impact the water and sewer master plans? Is the decision before you solely based on the rezone request, or have you weighed this decision based upon the city's water and sewer master plans and how this development fits or does not fit within those plans? The water master plan clearly indicated a proposed water tower for this property area as part of a whole system upgrade. Have you decided not to consider that proposal? This is a decision for the governing body to make, but again, no discussion regarding the water and sewer master plans have occurred since the initial presentation was made nearly 2 years ago now. Another concern, While the owner applicant may be a very nice person, A&I Properties LLC is in forfeiture with the Kansas Secretary of State since July 15th of 2023. And I looked it up today and they're still in forfeiture. In conclusion, looking at the city documents, hearing from adjacent farmers, this property really should be designated for future commercial or so nothing more than rural residential, large acreage lots. Especially as there are no answers nor plans regarding the City of Kechi's water and sewer master plans. Please consider all of the components of this decision, and I truly hope that we will hear something from this council on what your plans are for the water and sewer master plans that the city paid a lot of money to have created and where we're headed. Thank you.
Kim.
My name's Ken Philpott. My wife owns the property adjacent to the east and the north of this property. And we've had a lot of conversations about what the impact is on the rural community and the surrounding areas, but I think this group needs to consider the impact on the community who may approve. You're gonna set this next to a cattle operation, and I can assure you, 5 strands of barbed wire will keep cows in, but it won't keep these families and kids out. And just wait till one of them climbs that fence and goes over, tries to pet a pretty little calf, or somebody sprays a pasture, and I'm telling you, you don't live in the country, you have never experienced the smell of this, and it may be safe, but it doesn't feel safe. People file petitions all the time because you sprayed a pasture, because you've done this, because you parked a tractor on the road. It just goes on, so you need to strongly consider the impact on the people who may buy these homes, and the people who own the property next to it, and what may happen when little Johnny or little Susie gets killed by a cow.
Any others? Patrick.
Patrick Matson, 01 East 69. My property's about a quarter of a mile west. I'd like to address the A&I Properties LLCs and forfeiture. And I guess that's a question for the attorney. That my understanding is they're not, since it's forfeited, they're not in good standing with the state, so they're not a serious going concern, so they cannot conduct business. That's what I've read.
Do you have further, or are you just asking?
Oh, yeah, I got
well,
more.
then, I would finish the comment, I haven't paused, I'd finish the comments and then wait for
Got
questions,
more.
just so we can get through that and
But,
then,
but to me, this, yeah, I mean, this needs to be addressed, because this is not a going concern, serious going concern, so I've got serious questions whether that was even legal to, the ordinance pull them into the city.
that, the end, again, I wanna make it clear, whatever
got
you
more,
have, your comment
but I'm
wise,
done.
I want you to
Okay,
finish
I'll
before
shut
we
up.
have, and it would have to come from council to ask the questions. So, if you have further questions for council or for further comments on this, I encourage you to continue and not
Okay.
wait for him.
Okay.
I do have your time paused, so this isn't counting, I just wanna make sure that we're clear about.
Well, I'll reiterate. Density. This is, crazy dense. So, to help you out with the planning committee, number one, does it fit the use and character of the neighborhood? No. You're plopping down this density out in the middle of farmsteads, adjacent to a large animal farm, cow calves. The dogs in the backyard's gonna bark and then bother the calving cows. Secondly, the adequacy of the roadways. You 3 directions, you got township roads which are just adequate for what's out there now. If you put more of this density out there on those roads, it's really not a good thing to do. North of our place, we got a single lane bridge. Putting more traffic down that's just dangerous. And lastly, and already kicked that around, this Kansas statute, freedom to farm, kind of goes both ways. I mean, Richard that lives adjacent to it may be out there at 5 in the morning working his ground. And here again, density, he's gonna go from
one neighbor that doesn't live there to 23 neighbors with barking dogs with gardens in their backyards. He calls the co-op to spray the weeds, and it's gonna drift right over there in their garden, so, I mean, it's really just a pain. Again, density, suggested density, so thank you for your time.
Does council wish to address any part of that? Or have Andrew, you look like you're itching to answer.
I would love to hear him comment
Yeah,
about
sure.
out of compliance with Kansas State.
Sure. So the Secretary of State does require biannual filings every 2 years, filings with the Secretary of State in order to keep an LLC in good standing with the Secretary of State. That does not, just because an LLC is not in compliance with those filing procedures does not mean that it is invalid, that it is out of business or has been dissolved legally at all. They should get back into compliance, absolutely should. But if they are the record title owner of the property, they still have to be able to exercise those legal rights, and they still can. So, yeah, they should get back into compliance with the Secretary of State, but it doesn't affect anything we're doing here.
Any other public comments? No, okay. I will officially close public comment on this case. All right, we will go through all the recommendations. And again, this is going through each of the recommendations that the Justice Administrator, planning, it's been a long night, planning and zoning administrator presented to us. I'll read each one and you'll agree, disagree, comments, questions. Item 1, the zoning use and character of the neighborhood.
Agree.
Conformance of the requested change to the adopted or recognized comprehensive plan and policies.
Agree.
The adequacy of public utility roadways and other public services relative to the anticipated impacts of the proposed use.
Agree.
The suitability of the subject property for the use to which it has been restricted.
Agree.
Length of time property has remained vacant as known.
Agree.
Extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect nearby property.
Agree.
Conformance of the requested change to the adopted or recognized comprehensive plan and policies.
Agree.
Impact of the proposed development on community facilities.
Agree.
Public comment.
Agree.
Assuming all necessary information has been received, council has 3 options. Adopt the planning commission's recommendation of denial. Override the planning commission's recommendation of a denial with a 2/3 majority vote of the governing body membership, which is 4 votes. Return the case to the planning commission for further consideration, along with statement reporting the basis of our failure to approve or deny. Does the council have any further questions or discussion?
No.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
If you,
Sure, go ahead.
just to my statements earlier, that my concerns of R2 would allow for apartment buildings to be built, boarding houses, group homes, townhomes, or triplex and quadplex, which I would not be in favor of. So, I guess as written, I would not be in favor.
You would prefer R2 with
Those.
I would prefer
Exception.
R1
R1.
with
So you're switching it?
R1 with the conditional, it allows for a condition to allow duplexes.
So you wanna change it from being zoned R2 to an R1 with the.
R2 would automatically allow apartment building.
So R1
Allow duplexes.
with the condition of no,
With the condition
of
to allow
duplexes.
duplexes.
Okay, gotcha.
Questions, cause that is a change. How does that?
It's a lesser change, so it
Okay.
would be permitted.
Okay. wanted to double check. Any other questions? Oh, go
And
ahead.
again, just to confirm with the applicant that that would be acceptable.
We're fine with that, yeah.
Okay. Any further questions, restrictions, comments? I would entertain a motion.
I move that we override the planning commission's recommendation to deny with an approval of rezoning to R1 with the conditional approval to allow duplexes.
Second?
I have a motion by Todd, second by Matt. Is there any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Case number Z 2025-04 is approved. The approval will become effective on the date ordinance number 1852-25 is published in the Ark Valley News.
Here we go.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving on to 7E, paving maintenance quotes.
Mayor and Council, Thomas, I don't know if you wanna take this one, or I can go ahead and start.
What's
but
that?
Paving
the
quotes.
Paving improvements to the streets that.
No, it's been a long night, but come on.
I'll go ahead and start.
I don't have the paperwork on, because I don't know if you did.
Okay, so
Mayor-
Matt.
Mayor and Council, in last year's budget, and as part of our street maintenance program, our annual maintenance to streets, to keep everything in shape. This year, as part of the program, we have Comanche Street, Port, Quebec Court, Cherokee Drive, and Tigua Streets, all slated for reconstructive street repairs. It has been budgeted. If you will recall, in this year's budget, we designated 3 mills to go into street improvements or street funds, in addition to the fund balance that we had left over for streets. We put out 3 bids as required by our policy for this project. Pearson Construction, Kansas Paving, and APAC all bid on these projects. It should be noted, however, that Kansas Paving, their bids were not per our requested specs. So it is the recommendation of the Public Works Director we not consider that one, because what they bid is lesser than what his requirements were for the specs on these streets. That leaves us with Pearson Construction as the low bid. They came in at $271,902. APAC was the high bid with $334,097. So it would be the recommendation to the council to approve these funds. It will come from the street fund. Fund balance has already been budgeted. It's not an extra expense.
Council, any questions?
Nope.
Alright, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with Pearson Construction not to exceed $271,902 and authorize the Public Works Director to sign.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Matt, second by Kendra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to old business, item 8A, water rate resolution number 25-786.
Mayor and Council, last item on the agenda for tonight is our water rate adjustments. This has been a long discussed and very public discussion that we've had on these water rates over several meetings over the last couple months. We've had presentations on them. We have had a utility rate study done, an amendment to the original study we had done. Presented that to council. Council provided us with some of their suggestions of creating different tiers to provide some relief to lower consumption type users. We took those back to the consultant, developed the tier system that we presented at the last council meeting, and this agenda item is a culmination of all those discussions that we've had, input from council, input from people who have spoke here at the meetings. We have had 0 public input here at City Hall. Anybody contact us on this. We've put it in the newsletter, of course, discussed it publicly many times at these meetings. So the agenda item, like I said, is culmination of those discussions. Andrew drafted a resolution based off the information we gave him to develop those additional tiers for residential and commercial and increase the base rate. So very similar to our gas resolution, which has a built-in escalation each year to adjust for inflation. This resolution too has that adjustment, so we don't get to the point where we are now of not being able to fund our water utility. So we don't have to come back to the council every year to adjust for those inflationary costs.
Council, any questions? I know we've had 3 council meetings on this already, but this is your chance. If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the water rate resolution 25-786.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion by Paul, second by Todd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to council reports. Does any other council member have a council report?
Why, Mayor, I do, if I can keep my voice.
It happened.
All right, I am the ex officio member of the park board, and I just wanted to give a quick report on the last park board meeting. We met on June the 2nd, and all members were present, with the exception of one member who couldn't be, was not available. What we did was discuss the park bylaws and did a little bit of suggested cleanup and sent that forward to our city administrator and possibly the attorney for review. So we're waiting back for comments on that from those folks. And then we had a playground committee report. The playground committee met and discussed options for playground equipment. There are many designs and options available, and so what the committee desired to do was to get input from the public, which they did at movie night, and so we'll see at the next meeting what those results were. And then we had a park cleanup day, which Mayor already alluded to. I actually walked by I think it's called a Xenoscape or Zeroscape or something like that. It looks a lot nicer than it had been in a long time, so good work. They also picked up trash and a few other things that they did. We will also be considering a mission statement to help guide the park board, and then review the community input from the idea board from the movie in the park. So that's what's been happening on the park board. I think great progress is being made, and hope to see a whole lot more from them in the future.
Karen, can you remind us what's the next date for the?
It would be July 7th, I believe.
Monday, first Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry, so it'd be, yeah, July 7th.
Yeah. Just wanted to double check. Alright, well, thank you. Any other council member have a council report? Okay, I have mine. Pretty uneventful last part of the month, but that's okay. On 6/24, I did attend the Youth Aging Out of Care work group. That's being held by Gathered Strong Sedgwick County. That's the Coalition of Care, or Child and Family Wellbeing Coalition of Care for Sedgwick County. They are focusing, this particular work group is focusing on the impacts in Sedgwick County related to teens aging out of foster care or transitioning out of school to find resources so that they can be successful and not fall into the cycle of poverty. So we're starting our work. This is the second meeting, but it's a lot of good information. If anybody's interested in attending those meetings, as part of the community, we all have an impact on how our teens and how our young adults are going out into the world. So it's not just us up here as electeds, or the business community, or the Department for Children and Families, or the police, or it's all of us. We all have some sort of impact on that, and so your input is needed in your spaces. So everybody brings something to those spaces, and you may not know what that is until you get in there and be like, oh, well, I know I can impact this part of it because I have education and finance or something like that. So having that background for those teens and knowing what resources are out there will definitely help the professionals help them to be better stewards of their resources. So Highly encourage you, if you need more information on that, please contact me, I'm happy to get that for you. Items I worked on, same as always, I attended meetings, invoices, discussion on Facebook posts, discussions with groups I'm involved in. I attended a fair committee meeting as well, I forgot to put that down on my meetings, but did attend one of those as well. Announcements, the fair committee is holding an adult bingo at 6 p.m. on July 26th here at Kechi City Hall in the community room at 6 p.m. Again, it's free for anybody to attend. However, like if you have a business or if you have a fun item you'd like to donate for us to give away as a prize, we'd be glad to take it. You can contact the fair committee or Kendra or I or one of the fair committee members. We're happy to get with you for that prize. Again, next week, July 4th, City Hall will be closed on July 4th, but they will be reopened Monday the 7th. And Sunnydale Community Group is having their ice cream and cake walk on July 12th at 6 p.m. at their community room. So everybody should go out and enjoy Sunnydale. That's all I have. And last call for council reports. Seeing none. Okay. Move on to staff reports. Public Works. Thomas.
So I've been super busy, so you guys don't have a copy of this. I missed one this last time and didn't get it in, so between me and Earl taking vacations, figure since he's leaving at the end of the year, I better get some of mine taken. Really busy lately, lots of rain, lots of dirt work on dirt roads up north. I don't know, kept them pretty dry. Lots of rock. We hauled over 400 tons of KGE rock up there on Hillside. We had a few washouts. I think Hillside between 77th and 85th had water run across about 8 places. So we're currently trying to get some of that material back out of that ditch, also to help that flow up through there. We had the brush up open, like she said, for 3 days. We had over 500 truckloads of debris dropped off, plus what we've picked up currently from the park. Had 3 or 4 Widowmakers up there hanging, so borrowed a truck from my father-in-law at Southwestern Electric. He was kind enough to let me borrow it and kind of went up and trimmed those trees down, and we took down a few, so if anybody sees extra trees down, they had a lot of dead in them. We probably had 3 or 4 years left at the max. As dangerous as they were, we just went ahead and decided to take them down. Lots of mowing, lots of weeding, see the guys around, locates, tons of locates, had over 200 again. We keep going at this rate, we'll actually have to submit it to the KCC to have them come in and audit us every 6 months. So we're on that pace, never been on that pace before. Do have a KCC audit coming up, but other than that, you know, same old, every go along. So.
Well, again, thank you very much for all your hard work. Not
Yeah.
just this month, but every month.
Any questions or concerns or anything I should be aware of that I probably missed? Thanks.
Thank you.
Don't worry, I know how to email you.
Yeah. We've got your email. Police. Chief.
Thank you, council. So, like all areas of the city, we've been exceptionally busy coming into the late spring, early summer months. I'm happy to announce that as of today, we received information. We are fully staffed at the police department. Our recruit that we were looking at has passed background and physical and things necessary to work for us. He'll begin his FTO process probably next week. This would give us 24/7 coverage, I believe, for the first time in Kechi city history. So it's a big step for any agency to take, as now we have an obligation to provide 24/7 coverage to the city, regardless of staffing, training, and stuff like that. So just kind of want to highlight, what do you get when you get, you cross that bridge to 24/7 coverage, faster response times during an emergency. There'll be a patrolman ready to get where they need to get within the city limits. More patrolling availability, for example, overnight watch, vacation watches, all those things getting done, business checks, things of those nature. Knowing your officers is the big one for me. Through our community policing program, just getting out there and making sure that when you do call 911 and Kechi shows up, you'll know who's at your door. Officers specialize in interdiction, community policing, traffic enforcement, specializations that we can now train for and emphasize in our operations. I like to point out the interdiction side of that. Officer Mounts and Officer Carpenter have absolutely been bringing in a lot of dope. We're filling up our evidence right now. It smells like a skunk in my office, but that's cost doing business. I don't know, I think we're up to 6 or 7 firearms now. Many have stolen, others criminally carried. So the work's being done. A couple DUIs, I think Mounts has gotten 2 DUIs in the last couple weeks, so they're hitting it, they're hammering it. It's good, it's good. Speaking of being busy, I called and got our statistics today. We cut case number capability of our agencies came in clutch that day. We had 3 other agencies respond with us to shut down the neighborhood for this particular incident. Long story short, a man just needed some help, and we were able to get that safely. And once that incident's done, that kind of hangs with officers for a while, especially this particular type of call. Checking on Lieutenant, making sure she was okay, and the situation at hand. The next day, I need to clear my head a little bit, so I went to Cabela's to get some things for our community policing program, the fishing program, and I drove by Chick-fil-A. And I'm not a Chick-fil-A fan. Lord forgive me, I know it's Chick-fil-A. I do eat it sometimes, it's okay, and I just, something was nagging at me in Cabela's, I need to go to Chick-fil-A and get a chicken sandwich. So whatever, I like their lemonade, I rolled in there, I sit down in the booth, busy place, you know, hustle and bustle, and I was eating my sandwich by myself, when one of the workers came and sat down in my booth, and she said, I want to thank you for your service and what you guys do, and I said, Miss, that's, you know, that's what we do, but there was a different tone in her voice and some willing in her eyes, and I was kind of looking at her a little bit, and I was like, are you all right? And she goes, well, that was my son on Monday, and I just really want to let you know we appreciate what y'all are doing. Y'all let your police department make an impact in your community with your citizens. So I just want to put that out there. You know, there's a reason I stopped and get that chicken sandwich, and I think it was because God wanted me to deliver a message tonight that the police department's out there doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, that they should be doing, and it's making an impact. So with that said, you know, your department of officers, we're going to remain steadfast in what we do. Regardless of the things that are going on around us, the white noise, the static, we're going to remain steadfast in providing Kechi with the best policing abilities that we have and making sure that we are a desirable place to live in a safe community. Any questions?
I just want to say thank you for one thing. I think everybody appreciates the movie in the park, and how that draws the community together. But one of the things I noticed at this last event was the fact that all of your officers are participating in that. And so just appreciate that everybody is invested and involved and there and present for the community to connect with and meet. And
Yes, sir.
yeah.
I appreciate
It's not just one person there, it's all of you.
Yes, sir. And we're selective in who we hire. You know, we have to be. This is a special place, and we'll make sure we have the right people with the right fit. Thank you.
My question is, when's the next movie in the park? They knew that was coming, didn't you?
What's that?
There's movies in the park, man.
The next one?
Yeah, July.
Let me look at my calendar.
Yeah. I will tell you, we're kicking off our annual fishing derby this month too, so we're gonna try to do that monthly as well. So we'll be out there, real time, Kechi Police Department is what we're calling it, and, so we got the things in place to get that done.
In place, the fishing derby is talking about would be held July 19th, it's a Saturday, and give or take 8 a.m. to 11, 12, before it gets really hot outside. And then moving the park will be July 25th.
So,
July 19th and July 25th.
yes.
Cool. What's the movie?
He made a list.
I know.
This is our community policing guy, he's got a list rolling.
I know.
It's actually gonna be published in the paper too, so it'll be out there for everybody.
Hold on, I've got it right here.
Okay.
The next one is Dogman.
Oh, yes,
Dogman.
of
And then
course.
August is Munsters Inc., September is Hotel Transylvania, and if it holds up weather-wise, the Addams Family in October for Halloween movie.
Cool. All right, well, thank you very much, appreciate you.
July 4th, we'll have plenty of officers out too, so be aware that we're gonna make sure that curfew gets enforced. I know it's tough every year, but we'll have plenty out, so.
And there is information on the Facebook page and the website about the restrictions and what we expect in the city limits. and we will be enforcing like Chief said.
Yes. Please go out and
I wanna
celebrate
make it very
responsibly.
clear.
Have fun. Make sure you got all your fingers when you're done. Just obey the times, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Planning, zoning, stormwater, code enforcement, anything Dustin does.
Thank you.
All things Dustin.
All right, zoning, planning commissioner Mark Bradbury stepped down from his position the other day. So we're down one. Planning commission voted to have Richard Wolf be the chair with Eric Breckenridge the vice chair. There's one person on the planning commission, Becky, that I'm gonna follow up with tomorrow. She's been out sick. I'm gonna check on her. We might have to replace her as she's only been to one meeting. July possibly has one case, a plat. That should be presented to you at the end of July. And IT, replacing computers due to performance, age, and Windows 10 expiring. They're hopefully gonna be in the building tomorrow. I doubt it. I was told a week lead time, and it's been about a month. Stormwater, working to get a new manual adopted because the one that we adopted last year expired. And code enforcement, several complaints have come in regarding grass is too high. Property owners have been called, and a couple violation letters have been sent because it's just not getting cut or taken care of.
Any questions for Dustin? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Administration.
Well, I won't belabor things. I know we've had a long meeting and we have just a little longer with the executive session, but if you notice the new lights in here,
Yeah, right.
much brighter. Thomas and his guys are switching all the city facilities over to these LED fixtures. And Thomas reported to me earlier this week that our last bill was about $100 and some less, just with about half the lights done. So these LED low wattage fixtures, I think, are gonna save us a lot of money on our utilities. And they sure look a lot better than what we had in here, so. The community room has been upgraded, still working on City Hall, the offices, the hallways. I believe Public Works building has been upgraded, and then they will start working on police, so. Shout out to those guys. The intersection project, boy, they are moving along on that. They got the curb and gutter in. It's my understanding from talking to the foreman down there that they may possibly put the base asphalt down tomorrow. So they will put that base asphalt down up to the intersection. The entire intersection is gonna be concrete, okay? So they will pour that, and it has to cure quite a while, to make sure it's strong enough for those heavy trucks to go over. So as that's curing, they will continue to work on the rest of the project. Sidewalks, cleaning up the grades, putting in new light poles, making everything pretty, and according to what they're telling us, it's still gonna be done on schedule. So they haven't asked for any extra days or anything like that, so things are moving along really fast, and we're really impressed with what they're doing down there. Other than that, I don't have anything other than thanking our staff. We have incredible, incredible people in every department of this city. Everybody, like I said, they work really hard. They do more with less than a lot of other cities do. Nobody in this city, no department head, no line employee wears just one hat. They do many, many different things, and that's a great advantage to have those people. So to all of our staff here tonight, all of them who are not here, thank you. You guys do an incredible job. I appreciate everything you do, and I know the citizens do too.
Agreed. All right, moving on to executive session. Todd.
Madam Mayor, I move we go into executive session. The subject to be discussed during the executive session is attorney-client privilege. The justification for closing the meeting is discussion related to attorney-client privilege matters, and the time and place in which the open meeting shall resume is 9:26.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Todd, second by Matt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. We are